even be lower because we've increased the numbers, but we have not increased the participation of women. So what we need to do is using this bilateral relationship, Ghana and Zambia, at parliamentary diplomacy, we need to find a way on how we are going to help the women come out strong and participate. As women, it's not just a matter of giving an opportunity. We need to fight it with the men so that we are also strong. We have the authority. We have the voice to negotiate on the development table. Because for you to develop a country, you need both parties.
Okay.
So Ghana is also struggling like Zambia, but using this platform, we will come up with strategies that will help both countries to increase the numbers of women and also give the women that esteem that they need, that they are able to work hard. You know, as women who had the challenge because we've allowed other people to define who we are. But I would appeal to the women out there, that are women from Zambia and Ghana, that let's define ourselves. How do we define ourselves? By standing up and fight for that which belongs to us, to be part of the leadership of our countries, so that we are able to develop the country as men and women.
Okay. Earlier on, I was talking to Nalolo, Member of Parliament, Honorable Imeng, and he did talk about the strong agriculture that Ghana has, and you're coming from a rural constituency, agriculture based, and
yes.
Just before this interview, you are very excited sharing with me that at least farmers have been paid. We have enough rain for this season in Chikankata constituency, and you expect a bumper harvest. What lessons can Zambia learn from the Ghanaian agriculture policies that they've put in place?
Yeah, person, despite that I come from an agriculture area, Chikankata, but when you look at the agriculture system that we have in the country, it's not helping us, because we need to shift from looking at agriculture as a household security arrangement. We need to look at it as a business. I'll give you an example. Chikankata, away from the maize crop, we also have Irish potatoes. For your own information, Chikankata has the best Irish potatoes in this country, but we have not identified that potential.
Okay.
It has not added value to the people of Chikankata, even the people of Zambia. So having this relationship with Ghana, we will learn more on how we can use what we have to use it to develop our country. Agriculture, if we pay attention to agriculture in this country, like I said earlier on, we have the fresh waters in Zambia. What we need to do is now, using this water, unlike us waiting for the seasonal rainfall, we need to come up with mechanization systems that will be having the agriculture activities throughout the year, so that we are able to export and earn more forex to develop our country. So like you said, it is through this arrangement that we are able to learn more and enhance what we already have.
Okay.
At the moment, yes, we have this agriculture, but as a constituency, we have not benefited much from what we have, the water, and also the good soils that we have. We have not used that as an opportunity to develop our constituents and to develop our country.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are among the few lucky members of Parliament in the past 4 years that have witnessed quite a number of heads of state that have addressed Parliament. What does that make you feel, and what have you learned from these addresses that we've had in the past? The Tanzanian head of state, the Burundian president, Mozambican president also came and addressed Parliament. What does this mean to you?
What it means, President, means that there's something that attracts the people out there. You know, someone will not go to a place where he knows that he will not benefit anything. First, the political stability in the country. It has attracted other countries to come to Zambia. The economic stability. There are a lot of opportunities in Zambia that other countries are able to tap. So it means that the leadership of the new Dawn government is doing the right things that have attracted people from other countries. Because this visiting president, it means when they go back there, they are able to make decisions of coming back to invest in this country. And when they invest in this country, it's both countries that will benefit. One, locally as a country, will be able to create employment using their investment. It means that the economic situation of our country will change. There will be more finances in the country. So it is very important that we continue on this trajectory of a peaceful country and having the right leadership in place. Then Zambia will develop, because other people are able to come. like I said, no one will go to a country where there's confusion. But when there's stability, everyone will say, I want to go and see Zambia, a stable country, and we are able to get and benefit.
Honorable, before I let you go, imagine the opportunity to address the Ghanaian Parliament, your words to the Ghanaian parliamentarians.
The first thing I'll tell to the Ghanaian people is that come to Zambia, one, there's peace. Because where there is peace, there's unity, there's love, and there's development. So there's a lot of opportunity in Zambia that you are able to tap and develop your country back home. Because they'll bring money to Zambia, and money will go back to their country because they'll make profits. So there are a lot of things that the Ghanaians are able to get from Zambia and develop their own country.
Honorable Sabao, it's always a pleasure having you, and you are all-weather member of parliament. Being called at a short notice, always respond, and we'd like to say thank you so much, and we don't take advantage of your availability.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Wishing you all the best. I know in the afternoon the Ghanaian president will be here, and next week you'll be debating the address by the Ghanaian president. All the best, sir.
Thanks so much.
All
Have
right,
a good day.
thank you so much, and we are still interacting with the various stakeholders. This is just a build-up of the address, the special address by the Ghanaian president, who is expected to be here at Parliament buildings at 15 hours later in the day. I do have various stakeholders that I'm interacting with, and later on I'll be interacting with a governance analyst, and this is Dr. Charity Musamba, just to get her views as well, to learn from her what this state visit to Zambia means to her as a governance analyst. And joining me this particular time is Chama North, a member of parliament, and this is Mr. Yotam Mutachalo. Honorable, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, just to share with us your thoughts and your expectations regarding the 3 days state visit by the Ghanaian president. And it's also worth mentioning that he landed yesterday. He's in our country, and he will be here in the afternoon at 15 hours. Your expectations as Chama North, member of parliament?
Thank you very much, Person. I think my expectations on behalf of the people of Chama, I think, are quite very high. I think we are all alive to the fact that the friendship between Zambia and Ghana has existed from the Pan-African era at the time of Kwame Nkrumah and David Kenneth Kaunda. I think, as we know, that Ghana actually played a very, very key role in terms of liberation struggles in in Africa. So I think that was the benchmark. So from that Pan-African era, I think the two countries have continued to promote that friendship, and I think the friendship has also been reinforced by President Hakainde Hichilema's visit to Ghana in 2023. He had the state visit to Ghana. So I think we have quite to learn from the country of Ghana in many aspects. And I think from the visit the President Hakainde Hichilema took to Ghana, I think we have seen that this time there's a visa waiver. You see, Zambians can go to Ghana, Ghanaians can come into Zambia without visas at all. So to me, I feel that we have a lot to learn from Ghana in terms of, Ghana has a vibrant mining industry. They are doing very fine in terms of gold, and in Zambia we have discovered gold. So I think this visit will help us to learn best practices, how we can exploit minerals such as gold, which can help this country to move forward. So in the nutshell, it's a landmark visit, and we are happy to receive the President of Ghana.
How can this visit enhance the tourism sector in our country? I know you're coming from a constituency which has got quite a number of animals in that game management, and you've been on the floor of the House complaining, raising matters of urgent nature without notice to the Right Honourable Madam Speaker on the human-animal conflict. But how can we turn around the tables and benefit from these we have in terms of animals? Because it's something that we're not highlighting. The tourism sector, the Ghanaian tourism sector, is quite strong, and they rake quite a number of forex from this sector.
Yeah, I think this visit, as I earlier on said, that it's a landmark visit because the president of Ghana is coming with a delegation. Having that vibrant tourism sector there, I think also the Ghanaians have to more to learn from Zambia. We have got the national wonders, great wonders like the Victoria Falls. We have national parks. Wild animals. I come from a constituency in North Ruangwa National Park, where we have got a variety of animals which can attract tourists. So for me, I think this visit would do both tourism. We can get the best practices, how our friends manage to develop the tourism sector. I think this is the sector which we have not fully exploited as a country. If the tourism sector is fully exploited, I think it can be one of the major contributors to gross domestic product and also poverty alleviation for our people. So looking at the strong tourism sector, I'm sure that this visit will culminate into a number of economic benefits for our country.
Earlier on, I was interacting with Jigankata Member of Parliament, Honorable Sabao.
Which is they are also going to learn a lot. From this visit, I'm sure that Zambia is also benefiting in many sectors. For example, energy. Ghana is doing very well in terms of energy. I think Mozambique, they are doing very well in terms of the energy sector. And this country has been confronted with load shedding, power shortages. But I feel that this visit will also help us to exchange views how our friends have managed to ensure that they have got energy sufficient. So in a nutshell, I think these visits are very beneficial to the country.
Look, away from the issue to do with energy and agriculture, I think let's briefly talk about the health sector. I know Ghana has got a very strong pharmaceutical industry in terms of health research, medical research, and pharmaceutical production. And these are challenges that Zambia has been facing for so many years in terms of shortages of drugs in hospitals and the like. But what opportunities do you see Zambia and Ghana who collaborate on health sector initiatives?
Yeah, the health sector is very critical. If the country is not healthy, you cannot talk about economic development. So the health sector plays a very key role in Zambia's economic development. I think in that area, in terms of pharmaceuticals, we have not done much as a country. I remember during the time of KK and UNIP, we had quite a number of companies like on the copper belt, which were involved in producing drugs. But over the years, most of those companies collapsed. So the advantage of a strong and vibrant pharmaceutical sector in Ghana, I feel that that knowledge we can easily tap it into ourselves as a country, so that as a country we can be able to manufacture our own drugs, because currently the country is spending millions and millions of dollars importing drugs when we can actually manufacture these drugs locally in Zambia. So to me, Ghana having that very, very vibrant pharmaceutical sector, I think as a country we have to learn a lot, so that we can be self-sufficient in terms of production of drugs.
Zambia has also scored in so many sectors. What lessons can Ghana learn from Zambia?
You see, earlier on, I said that Zambia is a mining industry, a mining country. I think we have privatized our mines, and before privatization, I think our mining sector was not doing very fine. But after privatization, I think we are seeing the mines are now performing very, very well. So I think Ghana also can learn something on how we have managed to run our mines using the private sector. So there are so many areas I feel that Ghana can also benefit. Currently we are looking at targeting 10 million metric tons of maize production in this country in the next few years from now. So I believe that these are some of the areas where I think Ghana can also benefit from the same. So there is quite a lot which Ghana can learn from our country in areas which I think we are making progress.
I'm sure we are free here to speculate, because we know that the Ghanaian president will be here later in the afternoon at 15 hours to address Parliament. I'll give you an opportunity just to speculate. How will his address be? What will it be centered on?
Yeah, I know that most of the foreign heads of states who have come, they have not missed out to give Zambia a credit. Earlier on said that, you know, this country is a beacon of peace and tranquility on the African continent. Is viewed as a very friendly country, a very peaceful country, and I know, I can speculate that the Ghanaian president will be able, I think, to give credit to the country, especially maintaining peace and stability since independence. This country has maintained peace and stability since independence. We have had the peaceful transition of power from one to another, and I am very on those areas, because I earlier on said that Zambia and Ghana have a lot in common. So I think that is the area which I suspect that the president of Ghana will be able to articulate. And also, Zambia is holding the general elections this year. And I'm sure that the Ghanaian president will try to appeal to the Zambians that we must be able to maintain peace before and after the general election, so that the legacy which Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and his comrades cultivated, I think, can thrive for generations and generations to come.
I'll pose a similar question to you. Given an opportunity to address the Ghanaian Parliament to sell Zambia under just a minute, what could be your message to the Ghanaian parliamentarians?
No, my message to the parliament in Ghana is that let's maintain the peace and tranquility, and also ensure that we continue to democratize state institutions of good governance. I remember very well when President Obama went to Ghana, when he addressed Ghanaian Parliament in Accra in 2009. I think President Obama spoke highly about Africa creating strong and democratic institutions of good governance. So for Africa to move forward, I believe that we must be moving in that direction. Like what Obama said, that Africa does not need a strong president, but Africa needs strong and democratic state institutions of good governance. That way, we are going to move forward, because even the executive will be made to account if we have created the strong institutions of good governance. So I think that's the message which I can give the Ghanaian people. And also I'm happy that Ghana has maintained their culture, even the dressing. Our friends, you can tell that the Ghanaian people have not abandoned their culture, even from their dressing. And I feel that also as a country, we can also copy something from them.
Samcha, thank you so much for finding time just to share with us your thoughts regarding the expectations on the address that is yet to be delivered by the Ghanaian president later in the afternoon. Wishing you all the best. I know come next week, Tuesday, you'll be given an opportunity to place on record the address by the Ghanaian president. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much, person, and good day to all
right,
viewers.
I'll hold you for now, just there for now. Don't leave me. We're still together on this platform. We know that later in the afternoon, the Ghanaian president will be at Parliament and address Parliament. Quite high expectations from various stakeholders, and I'm interacting with various members of Parliament and stakeholders, and I expect Ghanaian members of Parliament also to join us later in the day, just to find out from them their expectations, and some of the collaboration that they expect will be enhanced from this 3-day state visit by the Ghanaian president. And joining us on set this afternoon is Dr. Charity Musamba, who is a developmental and governance analyst, just to share with us her thoughts. Doc, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. I'm very excited because the Ghanaian president landed yesterday. He was received by the Republican president, Ms. Hakainde Hichilema, at State House yesterday. Your expectations, and maybe before we talk about your expectations, we've seen a number of high-profile dignitaries visiting Zambia, and not only visiting, but also finding time to address Parliament. What does this mean, you coming as a developmental and governance analyst?
Okay, if we begin by looking at the African Union strategic plan, one of the key pillars looks at solidifying our relations as African countries, because it has been realized that in the last 3 decades, the consolidation of our relations has not been very, very forceful. And as a result, we've been missing on a lot of global, regional, and intercontinental opportunities. So for me, when you see presidents visiting each other, in this case, the Ghanaian president coming to Zambia, it is a sign of solidarity, first and foremost. Look at the miles that he has flown to come and see the brother here. So it's a sign of solidarity, and I want to cement the point that this is very important, given that with the globalization process, we need to unite, okay? So it's a very good gesture, and I think it should be encouraged that African presidents must find time to meet one-on-one or as a group, because it's necessary in the current global status. But secondly, it's a reunion. We are picking up where our forefathers left. And I think it's a very good sign of responsibility when younger leaders decide we can still continue with the relationship. Okay. The third reason is what my colleagues have been mentioning. If you read the book written in 1983 by Hayden Goren, he looked at putting African development in perspective, 1983. He looked at Zambia, Tanzania, and Malawi in about 8 sectors. He was looking at what we should have been doing to develop in 1983 and other foreseeable developments in future. Read that book. We were exactly on the same level, Zambia and Ghana. We had the same prospects for development. We had the same potential and the same problems. Today, again, I want to repeat this. I know my colleagues were touching on that. It is very important for Zambia and Ghana to talk, because we have the same socio-economic, financial development prospects, which they have emphasized, but I want to add also similar troubling realities, financially, economically, and socially. You remember, Zambia defaulted in 2020. In 2022, Ghana was the second country to default. So they have a very serious debt problem, just like us. They've gone under restructuring, we've gone under that. Ghana is a country that is endowed with a lot of natural resources, similar to Zambia. But you realize that the benefits from these resources has been a challenge to harness as a nation. The same problems they're seeing in Zambia, where you're seeing the economy prosper, but with difficulties to realize socioeconomic benefits associated with that, is existing in Ghana. Inequality is high, poverty is high, unemployment, informal employment is very high in Ghana. These are the same stories you hear in Zambia. So when two people in a similar situation come together, two countries come together, there are lessons to be shared, I want to agree, but there's also comforting each other. You need to, this is an opportunity for our two leaders to talk to each other in truth about the challenges we're going through, and also share ideas on how to overcome that. Specifically looking at Parliament, I would expect these two leaders to focus on what we can do to make our parliaments functional in their mandate. Because the same challenges we're facing in Zambia, where we feel the oversight is a bit compromised and other functions are not very effective, when you read Ghana today, in terms of its administration, we are sharing similar challenges. In terms of progress and also development, as emphasized, we are the two countries in Africa that have strived all the time to ensure that we can remain harmonious and that we are stable and that we maintain peace. And we've been courageous, colleagues, to undertake reforms in democracy and in economics. So you find Ghana and Zambia are known to be the students of IMF and World Bank. You also hear Ghana being called a rising star and Zambia being called a beacon of peace. So these similarities for me are not brought about without anything. There is substance behind there. Thank you.
Now, maybe what are the key governance reforms needed in Zambia and Ghana to attract more foreign investment and promote economic growth? I know you've highlighted quite a number of challenges that the two countries are facing, but what are the key governance reforms needed for these two countries?
For me, I think on both sides, we seriously need to address the effectiveness of our public institutions. Public institutions are the face of the country, whether it's business, stroke economics, whether it's politics, stroke governance, whether it's social, cultural. The institutions you set up to manage these spheres of development should be effective and functional. The rest then follows, okay? So two countries have been undergoing a lot of, we are not short of achieving. I think what we just need to do is to agree on what is feasible and possible for us. There are several ways of transforming economies and political governance systems, but we should know what is appropriate for ourselves. So that's what I hope people can invest their time to do when they're meeting.
Another vehicle that, Doc, I wouldn't want us not to talk about is the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Zambia and Ghana strengthen economic partnerships to boost trade and investment.
That's a very important question. If you look at what's making a distinction between advanced countries, middle advanced countries, and low countries, you find that basically it's around the issue of trade and investment. Because it's through trade and investment that you generate financial resources. So when you look at the FTA, for me it provides an opportunity for countries such as Zambia and Ghana to reduce all barriers, to work on facilitating massive and effective trade and investment arrangements. It will mean, colleagues, if you look at the European Union...
Okay, before you proceed, you talked about barriers. What are those barriers, maybe, for the sake of a viewer and a listener?
Definitely. For instance, it is not very easy. I know they've removed the visa requirements, but just look at the travel arrangements from Zambia, Lusaka, to Ghana, Accra. How many Zambians can easily go there? the cost is high, the visa might not be a problem. Secondly, you also look at information. I have been to Ghana a few times, but I can assure you it is very difficult for me to feel confident that I know a lot about Ghana. So I expect the same problem the other side. So we need to ensure that there's a lot of information so that our young people, our entrepreneurs, the young youthful population of Zambia is knowledgeable about how to relate with their colleagues in Ghana. The women who want to engage into business are very clear with the prospects that are there and vis-a-vis. So for me, I think information flow and knowledge about these two countries should start flowing in a more accessible manner. And we're not just talking about adverts here. We are talking about information that can help people develop business ideas, create business relations, and several other relations that are productive.
Okay. And on the three members of parliament that I interacted with earlier before you, they talked about the agriculture sector, which is very strong in Ghana. And Zambia is also making strides when it comes to the agriculture sector. But how can Zambia and Ghana collaborate?
First and foremost, I think we should all acknowledge in both countries, if you critically look at the agriculture sector, it's vast and it's not homogeneous. There are various sub-agriculture sectors in both countries. So you find in Ghana, cocoa will be mainly the commercial farming level. And for Zambia, you find maize has dominated the commercial. Of course, wheat is coming up. But I think for developing countries such as Ghana and Zambia, we have a lot of what we call the middle and small scale farmers. These levels of farming, ones admit we haven't done very well to uplift it. But I think what we can do is our farming sector. If you go to Thailand, economy, but they diversified the agriculture sector such that now it's one of the most commercialized sectors. Still farming takes place, but there's also value addition. And when you're talking about export, there's also manufacturing. So you can see that a sector that was a very low-class sector one time is now one of the well-known globally. So this is what we should be doing, should be able to say the people we're calling small-scale farmers in both countries should be called commercial farmers in the next 20 years. It's possible. So we should have these strategic, transformative measures in these sectors, because if you include diversification measures within the agriculture sector, you are already growing the economy. That will flow to other growth sectors in that economy. So I think there we also need to talk a lot about what we can do with our farmers who are readily available, so the initial investment is already there. Okay. What they need is the supportive and facilitative conditions. And when we bring them up, it's easier then to interact, to face the international market. Remember, the best food and agricultural products are coming from Africa now. That's what the world is waiting for. So what we need to do is, we've got a bigger market, a global market. But if you look at the WTO rules, you look at even the FTA rules, they are so constraining for us to penetrate in that market with our farming products, not because those rules are really bad, but because we haven't developed our sectors. So we really need to invest in our sectors so that they can feed the domestic markets, national markets, regional markets, and international markets.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't want us to create a narrative as if Zambia is only learning from Ghana, but I'm sure Ghana is also learning from Zambia, and Zambia has also made strides in various sectors. Being a developmental and governance analyst, what are the areas, key areas that the Ghanaian people can learn from Zambia?
For me, I would want to start with the governance aspects. One of the key issues that I realize really is standing out in comparison between these two countries is our levels of political transformation and democratization. I'm saying this because although our democratization project has been facing setbacks, you can tell that when you look at the way we've become resilient, respect and demand for human rights, respect and demand for democratic rights, I think Ghana can pick lessons from us. How are we managing in the context of very poor socioeconomic conditions that people still hold on to democratic rights, they demand, they're looking for accountability. No matter how hard our situation is, Zambians are very confident and assertive that they can talk, they can demand. So I think that atmosphere is one thing that the Ghanaians can learn from us. And secondly, I'm also wanting to believe that although they are also well endowed in mineral resources, in my view, I think we're at the same level in terms of the levels of the mining sector development when I checked the latest reports. But I think what we need, they could learn from us is how we're trying to mix foreign and domestic investments in the mining sector. It's a big challenge. We're not doing it very well, but I think the parameters are concrete. Where we've acknowledged that the mining sector, we have to open it up for foreign investment. Regulation has been a challenge. So maybe Ghana can learn from us. Then we are trying to grow the small and medium mining activities. And I know the Ghanaians will look ahead of us because they've been doing it for a longer time than us in terms of that sector operating. But we have also learned that as the small scale and medium miners are coming up, we should talk about regulation and institutionalization. In most African we pay attention to exactly meaning formalization. Making sure that organized including Ghana, certain sectors are vibrant, but their levels of regulation are still too porous compared to what we're trying to do. So that is why I think they can learn. Even in tourism, I notice there's a lot they can pick up from us. That especially when it comes to environmental and conservation measures, I think Zambia has done quite well and is still got a lot to do. But we have tried to make sure that we pay attention to environmental issues, but also conservation issues. Although our investments are very minimal, I think Ghana can learn a lot from what we're doing in, especially like you talked about these reserve parks and other potential areas in the areas of tourism. But I want to emphasize this point, that when it comes to fiscal and public finance management, Zambia and Ghana have to sit together and decide what to learn from others.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we talk about the expectations don't have time they prioritize education, and people are enjoying the feeding program, the also free education up to secondary school level. Not too long ago, the ECZ, the Ministry of Education, also announced very impressive results, grade 7, grade 12 results, where Zambia scored about 70% pass rate for the first time in Zambia's history.
Okay. For me, I think if there's one area where most African countries in the last 20 years to do well, it is the of education. And I want to agree that if you look at the country, you notice that the education system was associated with their cultural setup. So happy that as a country, we are striving, we are acknowledging that without education, there's no development. And for me, I think we should encourage government to continue looking at ways of making education accessible. And if the results so far from last year are showing these outcomes, what we need to look at is how do we sustain and make sure that we stop looking at numbers only and start looking at the quality of education. Quantity is no longer a problem, it's quality. And the world there, for you to have good technicians, they have to be of quality. For you to have innovation, you should have critical minds. So, and I think that's the emphasis that you hear in West African learning institutions. Critical minds, critical education. So that's one thing that I think we can learn from our colleagues. And that's how come it's very easy for them to venture into pharmaceuticals, to contribute to international researchers, because they're growing a caliber of scholars and academicians and other systems of education that are very critical. Quality beyond quantity. So that's one thing we can learn. Critical minds beyond numbers.
Okay. And like we keep our viewers and our listeners, later in the day, the Ghanaian president will be addressing Parliament. And what are your expectations? What will his address centered on? I think we can speculate.
Yes, we can speculate. Under the African Union, we have an inter-parliamentary platform. So I would greater ties. The pan-parliamentary network hasn't really, and I think in the last sessions of the African Union, so I'm talking about parliamentary unity across the continent. That's very important. But I'm expecting also the president to talk about the election, being an election year. I'm also expecting the president associated to that talk about issues of peace. But the key expectation I have is for him to focus on how Zambia and Ghana can work around their economic development problems. Especially debt, low revenues, corruption, and lack of accountability.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Mase, thank you so much for finding time and being with us this afternoon, just to share your thoughts and your expertise on the president's address, the Ghanaian president that will be addressing Parliament later in the day. I'm wishing you all the best. I'm sure we'll call on you as we look at what the president will talk about later in the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, there you have it. That's Dr. Charity Musamba, who is a development and governance analyst, just sharing with us her thoughts regarding what we expect to hear this afternoon at 15 hours as the Ghanaian president, and that's Mr. John Dlamini Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, addresses Parliament this afternoon. We'll take a break, and once the Ghanaian delegation arrives, we'll be able to interact with them to find out what this visit to Zambia means to the Ghanaian community. My name is Posent Ndovi. Join me later in the day as we interact with various stakeholders. Keep watching and listening to Parliament.